Hi mathematicians, this is Mr. Almeida. I hope you are doing well. In today's video, we are going to learn what a percent is. Now I know you've probably seen percents all over in our real world. You see them when you're shopping, you see them on signs and billboards, you see them in commercials. But what is truly a percent? We're going to talk about that today in this video, but I'll start off the video with a song. And the lyrics to this song are actually the notes on this page that are right here, okay? So I'm going to play the song first, and then I'll explain everything about it as we go through, okay? So here we go. Percents are a complex fraction whose denominator is 100. Instead of writing a denominator of 100, you can replace it with a percent sign. You can replace it with a percent sign, percent sign. And if you want to write a number as a percent, multiply it by 100%. And to do that, you just take the number, write it down, multiply it by 100 and simplify. If you end up with a number that's greater than 1, write it as a mixed number and don't forget to include the percent sign. So that is a song that's going to help you to remember what a percent is. If you're watching this video, I advise you to rewind the video back to where the song started again. And now that you've heard it once, you might be able to sing the lyrics along with the song. Practice this song because once you know what a percent is, what's a percent? A complex fraction whose denominator is 100. Okay, so we know what a percent is, and it is simply a complex fraction, and all a complex fraction is a fraction in which the numerator or denominator or both could be fractions, okay? And the denominator of this is going to be 100. So we have a complex fraction, and the denominator is going to be 100. And the numerator could be any number, okay? Now, if we don't want to, for example, write 35/100ths as a fraction, we want to write it as a percent. Well, we think of this right here that tells us instead of writing a denominator of 100, you can replace it with a percent sign. So I could copy the numerator, could write 35, and replace this denominator of the fraction of 100 with the percent symbol. Okay? And that is 35%. So anytime you have a fraction whose denominator is 100, you can replace this part of the fraction right here with the percent symbol, okay? All right, so one more time, what is a percent? Percents are a complex fraction whose denominator is 100. Instead of writing a denominator of 100, you can replace it with a percent sign. You can replace it with a percent sign, percent sign. And if you're trying to write a number as a percent. All right, so that's the next part. So we know what a percent is, and we know that when we see fractions whose denominators are 100, we can replace that with a percent sign. Or if we're given a percent sign, we can replace that with a fraction bar whose denominator is 100, okay? All right, now we get into the second part of this, which is how do I write a number as a percent, okay? So the lyrics go, and if you want to write a number as a percent, multiply it by 100%. So you're gonna, to do that, you're gonna take the number that you have, and to do that, you just take the number, write it down. So we're going to take 3/5 because we want to write 3/5 as a percent. So we're going to take 3/5 and write it down. And the opening lyric to that section says, and if you want to write a number as a percent, multiply it by 100%. So I'm going to do exactly that. Multiply it by 100%, just like that. And 100% is really 100 hundredths. So I'm really multiplying this number by 1. So it's really equivalent to what it is originally. It's just written in a different form, okay? So I'm going to take this number, write it down, then I multiply it by 100. So I notice that I'm multiplying fractions now. How do I multiply fractions? use the product formula. 3 times 100 all over 5, and the denominator of 100 is 1, but you can just omit writing that. And don't forget to include the percent sign, okay? So we're trying to multiply this now. We're going to simplify. Is there a number that can divide both the numerator and denominator besides 1? The answer is no, because both 3 and 5 are prime numbers. Okay, what about 105? Because you're trying to divide numerator and denominator by the same number to make an equivalent fraction. Yes, there is a number. That number that can divide both of them is 5. So 100 divided by 5 is 20. So I divided the numerator by 20. I'll divide the 5 in the denominator by 5, and I'll get 1. Okay? So now I have 3 times 20 all over 1. What's 3 times 20? 60. And 60 divided by 1 is 60. So that is our number that gets written right before the percent symbol. And don't forget to include the percent sign. And that's it right there. So that's how you write a number as a percent. How do you do it? And if you want to write a number as a percent, multiply it by 100%. So you have that right there. And that's how you will either write numbers as percents, and now you also know what a percent is. So one more time, you want to do this all together. Let's see if we can take it from the top and the entire song, just to recap what we've learned. Here goes. Percents are a complex fraction whose denominator is 100. Instead of writing a denominator of 100, you can replace it with a percent sign. You can replace it with a percent sign, percent sign, percent sign. And if you want to write a number as a percent, multiply it by 100%. And to do that, you just take the number, write it down, multiply it by 100 and simplify. If you end up with a mixed number that's greater than 1, write it as a mixed number, and don't forget to include the percent sign. And that, mathematicians, is all you need to know about what a percent is. In these next videos, we'll learn how to find percents of numbers and how to find what our missing parts are or what our missing wholes are when dealing with percent problems. So I hope you enjoy this video, and have a great day, mathematicians.